So Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 2 came out, and I'm just going to start questioning that this is probably going to be one of the most surreal comics I'm going to be reviewing on this channel and just reading in general, at least for the time being, because not just the art style and how it's paneled, but like the coloring and how everything is presented is probably the most surreal thing I have seen, and it is trippy as hell. I said this in my review of issue 1, but issue 2 continues it. It's not as like overt as the first issue, but it's done in a way that I just cannot keep myself from not wanting to finish and see what else the artists and colorists have for this comic, but also with building up to a real confrontation and seeing just how the Martian Manhunter in this issue, in this entire run, is going to be presented, as well as what might be like the themes that we might go into, or at least touch on in this comic run. But before I jump into the comic, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Helps a lot. Really shows you guys want me to keep covering Absolute Martian Manhunter, as this is something that I am incredibly interested to keep reading, and I just can't wait to get into this issue. I'm also covering Absolute Flash and Absolute Green Lantern at the moment on issue-by-issue videos. I'm also having videos for Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Superman being worked on to release relatively soon, so I can catch up on those issues and their runs, so that I could start at least attempting to cover each issue or each story arc once they are concluded. So look forward to that. Absolute Batman 1 is about to drop later on this week, so or should be out by the time this video is out. Depends, I'm still getting it finished up. But with all that out of the way, let's just jump right into this issue. So Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 2 has a relatively unsettling beginning, with a dead couple with the TV on, presumably from Wheel of Fortune, or a parody of Wheel of Fortune, as a guy drenched in blood holding a gun is staring up at a picture of a alien, as, yeah, that is kind of, well, pretty shocking to open up the issue with, and this is going to be our main conflict for the issue. As throughout the comic, we get interactions between John Jones and the vestige of what is currently being in his head, the Green Martian, the Martian Manhunter, or as he ends up calling himself continuously, the Martian Mindfucker, which I still find hilarious. Now, I am going to be summarizing this comic because there's a lot of dialogue and stuff that I feel like this will make this video twice the length. But essentially, for a good chunk of this issue, we have the Martian Manhunter essentially trying to get John to work together, trying to figure stuff out in terms of an upcoming crime, how to help people, how to stop something that's oncoming that will end up, well, causing some trouble. And I like how we keep getting visualizations of the Martian just appearing in random stuff, whether it be stop signs, whether it be the smoke from a cigarette, part of a newspaper, popping out, even on a stop sign, etc., etc. And I like how he just keeps going in to try and keep John calm by having him relive specific moments or feelings from his memories in order to keep him relatively calm so he doesn't start freaking out. And he is, while doing this, experiencing from the backlog a bunch of different emotions and thoughts throughout. Also, there's a very funny interaction that he has with the Martian in juxtaposition with the guy from the very first issue, just kind of geared up in tactical gear and getting his car with a red coloring, showcasing an ominous look, foreshadowing to how the issue is going to continue, as he just berates the Martian while he literally presents himself as a woman's baby, yelling at it, as then the mother just smacks him away with her, well, with her bag, and I just find that as a pretty fun bit. Now, obviously, throughout this interaction, the Martian is just being incredibly vague while trying to warn John of something that's coming very, very soon, an interaction that he will have. And then he then opens up, like, with visualization, the third eye in his head to get all the thoughts of everybody in the area and feel all their feelings in one singular instance, as he continues to talk to the Martian Manhunter, as essentially all the negative emotions that was flooding his head were presented as bad vibes, as apparently, according to the Martian, there's an inescapable conclusion: complete psychoplanetary collapse that is imminent. Responsible entities must be something, but he keeps trailing off into just random thoughts like hunt, kill, save, redeem, healed, as he keeps appearing in random spots, as he keeps talking to John, trying to convince him of what's going on, while John is just thinking he's going crazy, wondering why this is going on, as he keeps getting berated by not just all these thoughts and experiences through, again, the beautiful coloring of this comic, but with the Martian trying to calm him down, or, trying not to have him freak out by having him revisit memories from his past. As the Martian, is presenting himself as a mailbox while John is sitting down having a cigarette again, he's trying to tell him that he wants to be a partner or an ally in order to, stop something that's coming. Saying that Trigger is at Little Damascus, as we get an image of the guy from the beginning of the issue, now wearing his sunglasses with a gun in hand as he looks at the people in the crowd. As, based on John asking about the person with the gun, it's very clear to see that the Martian is presenting an image that he has gotten from hearing the thoughts of this person in order to convince John to go ahead. As we then get an image of this gunman saying invaders, aliens from outer space, body snatchers, wearing human faces, human skin. As we then get an image of him unloading on a whole bunch of innocent civilians, saying that they're trying to replace us. And while the Martian is trying to push John to this location, he gets a call from his boss about an active shooting and that John is close by and so he has to go. John goes to his car, and I just kind of like that this image is just John riding along with just the colors of all these different thoughts and emotions, with the Martian just sitting in the passenger seat with a big smile on his face as we start going to a literal buddy cop situation, which, again, with the seriousness of this issue, having the Martian in the passenger seat just kind of, having fun, I guess, that we're going to do stuff as partners now, is a weird juxtaposition to the tone that we're going for. But I can see what we're trying to do. And I like how while John is trying to get to this location, we literally see an image of the gunman just with a metaphorical look of him towering over the buildings as he continues to shoot civilians while others end up hiding. As he goes on to say that these aliens are wearing human skin, pretending to be them, and even try to speak their language, but it ends up coming out all wrong. Even saying that most people, 99% of them, are just pretending, as he comes to try and keep shooting people, saying welcome to Earth. John gets on the scene and encounters the gunman, and it's then that the Manhunter ends up jumping into the man's head as he then points his gun towards John. And John, with his abilities, is hearing the thoughts of the people. How there are at least 5 that were shot on the ground, but 3 are dead, 2 of them are fading really fast, and there are others hiding. And while we're getting him encountering the gunman, he calls him by name. And all this is being juxtaposed with this conversation in real time, with the Martian just digging around Trigger Taylor's mind, going through his memories, finding people that he knows, as John tries to convince him that he is Tumas, an old friend of his, as with the Martian Manhunter poking around in his head and telling John everything that he needs to know, is slowly convincing him of what he needs to say. And all this is going on as he is also getting the experiences and thoughts of a man dying on the ground and everybody in the area. Now, as he's continuing to try and convince Taylor to put the gun down, he ends up running through his head, giving us the background of the area that they're in, as this place is primarily Syrian refugees, as he keeps hearing the thoughts of the people that are hiding and in fear of the gunman, all while the Martian is still trying to poke around his head to find what he can to try and figure out more information and potentially de-escalate the situation. Police officers end up showing up, as with John holding out his badge, telling him to hold on, I'm talking to the guy, all while the Martian is in his head, literally just looking at this big amalgamated ball in his head of just sheer information and memories, as it's very weirdly wired. As we get to see that in the reflection of his sunglasses, he just sees aliens, creatures, extraterrestrials in his head, and the Martian continues to blast at it in order to disarm the memory, change it, and kind of take away his psychopathy, try and calm him down and realize the gravity of the situation that he's in. As he then looks over and begins to realize, what did I just do? What just happened? But right when that happens, a bullet casing flies into the air, as in the next page, the bullet ends up piercing his head, being shot dead by an officer as John runs towards Taylor's body. And when the bullet blasts through his head, John seemingly gets to see and experience all these different fractured moments and memories from Taylor's head. And it's then we jump to the beginning of the issue once more, with Taylor staring up at an image of an alien, with now the Martian staring at this memory. And this alien begins to twitch away and encase itself inside Taylor's head. And this is a shocking experience and thing that the Martian has seen, as it's then the memory collapses. As we move on to the rest of the issue, John is now with his superior officer, as he's just telling him he should have taken the shot when he had it. All while the Martian is cradled up in the corner, saying danger, disaster, doom, worst possible finding, worse than feared. As he's saying this while John goes home and gets in bed. As the Martian says, the white Martian has come to end humankind. And as John gets into bed, telling his wife that this day was good, as usual, the final image is of the Martian Manhunter in John's place in the bed next to his wife, as we end off this issue. Pretty psychedelic issue like issue 1, though issue 1 was a lot more psychedelic and trippy in comparison to this one, as it was a lot clearer to see what was going on and what the issue was trying to give us in terms of information. I loved the way the Martian just kept changing its shape to try and talk to John and push him to get to this area where the shooter was going to be in order to prevent things. I liked how John was using the information that the Martian was scanning his mind for, actively feeding him to try and de-escalate the situation and figure out what the heck is going on. And I am curious to see what's going to happen with the white Martians that have now been introduced into the story, seeing as how this thing ended up influencing this man to just go on the absolute extreme. Now, we don't know if the man who killed his parents and just went on this shooting spree was influenced by the white Martian before killing his parents or afterwards. We don't know, but it's kind of safe to say that maybe there was a bit of a push. He killed his parents, and then the white Martian just fully made him go psycho and believe all these conspiracy theories and just increase his paranoia to the extreme to cause all this chaos. But what is the white Martian's plans for doing this? I'm not sure. And with the green Martian being kind of rattled by this revelation, it makes things interesting to see what's going on, because now we have what seems to be our overarching antagonist for this run and storyline, so we got a lot to think about. Also, yes, with how the shooter was in this issue, you can literally take parallels from that into real life based on how the character was designed, how they spoke, their actions, their reasonings, their paranoia conspiracy theorist stuff, to people we see in real life. It's kind of, well, obvious, especially in comparison to the character attacking civilians that are refugees. So it is fairly obvious what the writer is trying to get at to an extent with this issue and that character, and just feeding that into the overarching story. I feel like they could have done this a little bit better, but at the same time, I don't think it's beating you over the head with it. So from all things said and done, I liked the issue. The art was great. The composition was honestly really amazing. And just how things are presented with everything going on with the Martian feeding information to John was great. But what did you guys think of this issue? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, and shows you want to see more. Now with all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.